Hello my friends and a big warm welcome to you all. Today I am making a guest design project for Aall and Create. This term I will make fewer projects so I feel I can have time to make them as big, crazy and detailed as I want. We're using many stamps from Janet Klein. We have Dames Magnifique number 681, AMD number 737, Flower Eye, number 677, Wicked Witch, number 616, Texture Sampler, number 660. And then we have Nibs and Mushrooms, number 276 by Tracy Evans, and two stencils, Cracked Walls 1, number 37, and Cobweb, number 144. We are also using my trusty lumber embossing folder and one with cobblestones from Tim Holtz and Sissics, along with Nouveau Glacier paste in Green Envy and regular grit paste. Today's video is a long one and I hope you will bear with me to the end. We're starting with that lumber embossing folder. I usually use craft cardstock, but this time I'm going with white and I will show you why. I mist the paper with water mixed with a drop of fabric softener and run several pieces of cardstock through my machine and get that wood grain texture I crave. Next I'm using two Distress Oxide inks in weathered wood and iced spruce. I blend the two grayish inks randomly over the wood panels until I have a heavy coat of ink. When all my panels are grey, I bring out Black Soot Distress Oxide ink and swipe the ink pad over the panels, mostly catching those wood grains. Then I use a blending brush to gently blend out the harsh black lines from the swiping and to darken the edges. And now we have grey and spooky wood panels. I have 2 blank pages left in the back of my big dilutions journal and I roughly sketched out where I want the houses we will build today. I bring out Gina K masking magic paper and cut 2 masks, one for each window on this house. I place the window masks where I want windows and bring out Distress Opaque White Grit Paste and the stencil called Cracked Walls 1. It's a two-story house, so I start with the ground floor and push the paste through that brick stencil. And when I pull off the stencil, the mask come off as well, but that's fine with me. When the first floor is dry, I do the same on the second floor. So, let's use that cobblestone embossing folder that's quickly becoming a favorite of mine. This time I'm using light grey cardstock and I mist the cardstock the way I did before. But then I bring out that Distress Oxide ink in Black Soot and swipe it over the embossing folder. Then I put in my grey cardstock and run it through my die cutting machine, and I love the result. So I have a bunch of embossed panels and of course I'm going to ink them up. I use iced sproused ink on a brush and I go over the whole panel. Then I swipe the Black Soot ink over the raised stones and use a brush to blend out harsh black lines and make the panels even darker, especially around the edges. So, back to our brick house. I bring out a cutting mat and a blade and cut around the beginning of our brick house, even giving it a temporary roof. It looks weird, but trust me, a little bit longer. I'm using the cardstock that is left over to make another house, or at least the beginning of another house, trimming it down to fit next to the first house. I'm using our cobblestone panels and pieces to add texture to our second house. I cover everything except the roof with those embossed panels and cut off the excess hanging off. I'm using Dilutions inks in Black Marble, Balmy Night and Slate Grey to give our brick house some color. The brick house is now dry, and off camera I cut out windows in our cobblestone house. Using a piece of sturdy cardstock, I create a hinge for the cobblestone house and let that dry. While the glue dry on my house hinge, I bring out those grey wood panels. Off camera I quickly sketched out 2 roofs for the houses and made 2 roof templates. Then I traced those templates onto the wood panels and cut them out. When both roofs are traced and cut out, I use black soot Distress Oxide ink to go around the wood roofs and make them more spooky. I reinforced my house hinge with a piece of washi tape and glued the second house in place and used clips to hold it in place while the glue dries. Next, I put foam tape behind the wood roofs, add liquid glue and glue the roofs on to the houses. Now that we have 2 houses that opens up to something behind them, I bring out black cardstock and trace the houses onto the black cardstock. Then I cut out the shapes and glue it behind my houses so they will look good both closed and opened. So let's stamp the ladies that will live in the houses. I stamped the Dames Magnifique, AMD, Flower Eye, and both the nibs and mushrooms and the texture sampler. The texture sampler is those bubbly borders, and I stamped them all in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. When starting this project, I challenged myself to take regular stamped images and make them into Halloween images with add-ons and the color choice. That's why I left in a lot of coloring further on in this video. To color my Halloween ladies and images, I will use my SIG Clean Color Real Brush markers and some water. And as always, I have all my color combinations picked out and in order on my work surface. I'm starting with Miss D. She is a Janet Klein character who can be found as a rocker, a cougar, drinking wine and doing yoga, to mention a few. Today she will be my version of Frankenstein's bride. Starting off, I use 4 shades of green for her skin tone, starting light and adding color carefully, but moving on from the lightest to the darkest and back again until I'm happy with her green skin tone. I'm imagining her dress being burlap, so I use 4 shades of brown, going lightest to darkest and back again. For her hat, earrings, cup and slippers, I use 4 shades of purple. It might be hard to see with my hand in the way, but I'm using a black fine liner to add scars and screws to her head and stitching on her dress. Throughout the coloring I will use the same shades of purple, green, etc. so everything belongs together. For the hair on this flower eye girl I use the same purple markers as before, and when her hair is colored I add little fangs in her mouth and pointy ears. I use light cool grays for her skin tone and add a few lines on her dress, making it look more like a cape, and I color her cape in black. I color her dress in 3 shades of red, her stockings in purple, and I use those cool grays for the flowers in her hands. I color her extra flower eye in those cool grey shades and will glue it in place later on. I color the hair on this girl with the same reds as before and use dark greys for her headpiece cap. I use the same neutral greys to give this girl a skin tone, and I use the purple combo for the pot on her head and the greys again for the flowers. So, for the nibs I used 3 brown markers for the handle, a silver gel pen for the metal in the middle and greys for the nibs. For the mushrooms I alternate between the purple combo of markers and the green combo. For this bubbly texture sampler border, I use 2 grey combos, the cool greys and a combo of blue greys, and here and there I color 1 bubble, purple or green. So, next we're making a background behind the houses, and I'm using dilution spray ink in black marble and cut grass, distress oxide spray in wilted violet, and mica spray stain in hocus pocus, decay and wicked elixir. I have the Tim Holtz moon masks and I place the biggest in the middle of this Halloween night sky. For this technique you need a light hand, and I don't have one, so things will get crazy, but I will pull it together in the end, I think. I start with cut grass, followed by wilted violet, and at the last time I added uncharted mariner, and finally black marble. And then I spray all the mica sprays on top of the regular inks. When I pull off the moon mask, I see that it's far more ink that seeped in behind the mask than I thought. But fear not. I start by adding water, letting it react with the ink and pick up color with a paper towel. Next, I bring out the detailed moon mask and distress oxide ink in twisted citron, and I use a brush to stencil in light green details on our moon. I bring out the whole moon mask again and use VersaFine Onyx Black ink to create a dark frame around the moon. And then I bring out the detailed mask again to give the light green details some depth. Lastly, I take what's left of that twisted citron ink on my brush and blend over the moon to tone down harsh lines. So, who is living behind the house doors? The Wicked Witch, of course, and I stamp her in VersaFine Onyx Black ink. I color our witch in the same way as the other images: brown for the broom, my purple combo for her dress and hat, green for the details on the dress, and cool grays for her skin tone. Sentiments are hard for me, so I went with only bad witches are ugly, which seems silly and illogical, but that's what I chose, and I stamp and heat emboss it in black on green cardstock. For the windows, I cut panels to fit in them, and I will use distress oxide inks to give them color. For 2 of them, I blend the purple Villainous Potion and Wilted Violet, and for the other 2, I used my favorite green combo, Twisted Citron and Rustic Wilderness, and I go back and forth a few times for a smooth blend. When the window panels are done, I glue them in place, giving the windows an inside. To make the window seals, I cut little strips of those grey wood panels, and I spent some time making notches and cracks and aging them before I glue them in place around each window, sometimes a little wonky. It's Halloween after all. I am happy to finally put my characters in their windows, starting with Miss D, followed by the witch and her black cat, then my vampire girl and the woman with a pot of flowers on her head. Next, I add 4 black paper hearts to the hair of the flower-eyed vampire. I will coat them with glossy accents later. I did punch out a lot of little dots from glossy black paper, and I use little dabs of glue to glue them on like nails on the window sill planks. Now, let's get back to the background behind the houses, and here is where the cobweb stencil and the green envy Nouveau Glacier paste comes in. I push that shiny green paste through the cobweb stencil in both upper corners of the background, and then I do the same procedure on the back of the houses, but I will change that later on. So, it's time to start gluing things down, and I did skip ahead a couple of places, because there were hundreds of images to glue down. I glue down the flower eye on the undead girl. The wicked witch is in the middle behind the houses, peeking out. The bubbly borders, nibs and mushrooms, lots and lots of nibs and mushrooms, and lots of bubbly borders. I put a black frame around the silly sentiment and glue it down in the middle, but coming out from the left house, closing the houses like doors, almost. I didn't like the green cobwebs on the back of the houses, so while I painted in the page next to the houses black, I painted over the green paste with black, and now I'm using Hero Art's white pigment ink to bring out the cobwebs, but more muted. My last two details on this project is to use my clear glitter marker from Wink of Stella and go over the details of the moon and mushrooms. Then I will add glossy accents to the hearts in the hair, the nails on the windows, the flower eye and the eyes of the witch and Misty. And now, this Aall and Create, mixed media, Halloween, art journal pages are finished. Thank you all so much for spending some artsy time with me and for making it this far. Until the next time, happy Halloween crafting.